Hey guys, it's Derek here. We're going to take a look at the news from March 22nd to March 28th. So, not actually a huge amount of news this week, and even so, I didn't particularly want to talk about this story, which is Sony is reportedly closing the PS3, Vita, and PSP stores for good this summer, mostly because of the word reportedly, meaning it's a rumor. We don't know. But a couple of other stories came out this week that sort of highlight a growing problem. It's not even a growing problem so much as a persistent problem. Why are you scrolling weird? Such as a persistent problem with video game preservation. So the issue here is that allegedly you won't be able to buy PS3, Vita, or PSP games. It also doesn't go into the fact that you also won't be able to get PS1 games that are available through the PS3 store. They're not playable on PS4 and PS5, so anything that was exclusive to PS1 can't get it anymore if these stores go. Again, this is a rumor, so we don't know if it's true or what's happening. We do know that there's a story, not a story, but there's a line here in the VGC article about them dropping their ability to purchase TV shows and movies and stuff like that. That potentially it's just that they're doing. It also might be that it's just the stores on the consoles themselves and not like the web store. You might still be able to get stuff through that. Who knows? But it highlights some other stories that came up. So like there's a Ninja Gaiden collection coming out at some stage this year that kind of collects a lot of the Ninja Gaiden games, but for reasons they're only going with the Sigma versions of Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. So it'll be Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and then Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, which we won't talk about because it's not a good game. Anyway, but the reason they're using the Sigma versions, which Team Ninja consider to be like the most complete versions of Ninja Gaiden, but there is somewhat of consensus in the gamer side of things that the Ninja Black versions were much better than the Sigma versions. But the reason they've given for why it's the Sigma versions and not the Black versions is because we don't have the code anymore. Because we didn't preserve any of it. As for Ninja Gaiden Black and the original Ninja Gaiden 2, only pieces of their original data were still intact, and we couldn't salvage them either. That's also the reason why we chose Sigma. If you had preserved your stuff, this would not be an issue. There are so many times where this has happened. There are a number of developers who just make the game and maybe hold on to it for like a year and then fucking delete everything. There's like tons of Japanese developers who've done that in the past. Square Enix had huge problems with having to remaster Kingdom Hearts just because they had lost so much data. You can even see when they do decide to remaster something, they can fuck it up. Like you'll have, just from personal experience, you can have the Arkham games. So when they remastered them for the Return to Arkham package, they fucked up the lighting in that game, and it just does not look as good anymore. The Judgment PS5 version, they have changed again the whole lighting system. Doesn't look as good, and they've completely changed the 3D model of the main character, which again also does not look as good. They did that with Spider-Man as well. They just decided to change the main character model. There was nothing wrong with him, and to be honest, he looks wrong now in that game. Even going back further, the Silent Hill remasters for PC, holy shit, were they fucking broken. And you can't even get the original Silent Hill games on PC, so that is trash. There's no way to play what are some of the best games in survival horror or in general. You can't even play like the proper version. And people who do decide to go out of their way and try to preserve the titles while the publishers themselves won't are labeled pirates and criminals and whatever. So there's a very good article here by Zach Schweizer, yes, don't know. The I and E the other way around is Zweihander, so I don't know if it's pronounced the same way. Anyway, Zach has a really good article kind of springboarding off the news of the PS3, PS Vita, PSP store shutdown, and basically going through the ways on how people think like physical media is fine, except you get to the point that physical media is finite. They only make so many of them. They break, they get lost, they get destroyed, whatever. The number just goes down. It never goes up. There's only fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer. And eventually they become so expensive or so difficult to get that not everybody can play these games anymore because they were confined to physical media. People who say, oh, you shouldn't get digital games because they can just revoke it whenever they want, which is true. Because it just showed there. But also, again, physical media deteriorates all by itself. It can be broken, it can be lost, and there's only so many of them that they can become prohibitively expensive to try to get your hands on. He goes into some other stuff here about like customers trying to hang on to things, digital storefronts disappearing, servers going offline to make the game unplayable and stuff like that. And what you might be noticing is that the true villain of video game preservation isn't expensive physical media, digital stores, or ailing old consoles. It's game publishers that only concern themselves with generating profits and do little to nothing to help preserve their creations for future generations. Which is very true. He uses No One Lives Forever as an example case, which is basically impossible to find now. Because it's tied up in so many different companies. Nobody knows who actually owns the IP. Warner Brothers think they do, maybe, but they're not interested in making a game. It goes into other stuff here on how Nintendo cracks down on people using ROMs for games that they don't even sell anymore and have no intention of selling anymore. They even take games off the store for no real reason, like they're doing with the Mario 3D All-Stars game, whatever, the one that packages some of the 3D Marios. They're just, it's not available after March for no reason. He goes in to kind of highlight why Doom is kind of all over the place and has always been sort of almost used as a kind of meme for things like, can it run Doom? You know, you can see Doom running on photocopiers and Doom running on Raspberry Pis and stuff like that. And the reason for it is because Doom is open source. The code is there, it's maintained, we're not losing that, but no other game does that, and it's just shit. And I just wanted to talk about it, even though I didn't want to put this news story in because it's not news, it's a rumor, and I don't want to do rumors, but I was very pissed off hearing this. Basically, I started the YouTube channel as a way to kind of highlight and somewhat maintain games that I can't do myself because I can't, like, you know, rip the source code or anything like that or host it on a server or whatever. But I could play the game, I suppose, and just show you how it played. And maybe you could have it that way, which is why I play so many obscure games. But obviously the channel has morphed into different things over time. But that was my original reason for starting the channel. And it's just shit. If this actually is true, and there isn't we're just shutting it down for the consoles rather than they come up with a way you can play these games on PS4, I doubt it. Because the Vita and PSP, maybe, but the PS3's architecture is so weird. The whole core programming stuff, vectors for 16-bit addresses is all very strange. We had to do a bit of it in university and it was fucking weird. Anyway, I'm not surprised people had such trouble coding for it. Anyway, so some announcement this week. Ikumi Nakamura, who you may remember, Ghostwire Tokyo presentation at E3 2019, 18, 19, one of them. Very well received on Twitter. Everybody was very impressed. Everybody liked it. Not the game so much, but her presentation necessarily was very good. She then quit Tango Gameworks, who are making Ghostwire Tokyo, and has kind of gone on a tour of different developers, a bit like Hideo Kojima, when he left Konami. He went on a tour of different studios, so somewhat the same. But there is a video out now on a channel called Cutscenes. I'll put the link in the description. The video is here. Anyway, I don't know why I showed you that, but anyway, whatever. It's there. and it follows her around, like taking concept art, not concept art, what do you call it? Reference pictures in like different haunted ruins in Japan, and just talking about her career up to this point and why she quit Tango Gameworks and she's gone on to move on to other things. That's a picture from Ghostwire Tokyo, which looks interesting. I didn't mean that to say dismissive. I genuinely look, it actually does look interesting, but the video is really good, and I'll have the link at least to this article, and if I remember to, I'll put the link to the video in the description as well. And then, unfortunate news, Left 4 Dead spiritual successor, Back 4 Blood, has been delayed to October. So I'm just interested to see how this goes, because I don't know 3 other people who I could play the game with, so unlikely I'll be playing it myself. But Left 4 Dead is very well received by the gaming community in general, so it would be nice to see another like nice 4-player thing happening. But anyway, it's been delayed to October 12th 2021 this year, but they have pointed out that there will be an open beta this summer, so if I can somehow gain 3 friends who want to play video games by then, maybe I can have a look at the beta. Okay, so some new releases this week. Metacritic decided to just not have trailers for these games, so for whatever reason, I have to go to YouTube for them. This is Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace. So Arkham Horror is a board game and sometimes card game that's all set in the kind of Lovecraft Eldritch shit, and this is a game based on that. What kind of game it is, I don't know. I think it's probably a kind of walk around, choose your own adventure kind of thing, but actual gameplay I actually haven't seen any of, so curious to see how it plays. The actual Arkham Horror like board game, card game, I quite like, so I would be interested to see how this plays out. But I haven't seen any reviews or gameplay for it, so I don't know. I might have to be the guy who does the gameplay video for everybody else. I don't know. Balan Underworld also got released, so this is from people who worked on some of the older Sonic games. This is like Square Enix gave them a chance to make a platformer, so this is what they made. It doesn't look good. Can we get to gameplay? Anyway, so this is just a trailer from the Square Enix Presents thing. But it looks of it, it looks like it doesn't handle great, and I know that was a complaint from people who played the demo. And allegedly the patch has fixed that. There's also a news story this week that one of the later levels causes epilepsy, or potentially causes epilepsy, but it's a bug this time and not a feature like Cyberpunk's was. This is actually something they have fixed, so there's a patch now to fix that. If you were suffering from it, or don't want to, I suppose the case would be. This is It Takes Two, which is the latest thing from Joseph Fares, who did, what was it called? The one where you're 2 criminals. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, he's also the guy who said fuck the Oscars at the Game Awards. That guy. This is his latest entirely cooperative game, so you cannot play this single player. You have to play it with 2 people, but you can buy, you can have one person just buy the game, and then you can use EA's player pass or partner pass or something. They have some term for it, but basically, as long as one of you owns the game, the other person can just jump in somehow. I don't know how it works, but only one of you has to buy it anyway. It's getting really good reviews for its gameplay, not so many great reviews for its story. Anyway, I personally don't have much interest in this. This is Evil Inside that I had a look at, or not had a look at, but I mentioned, why will you not go full screen? Annoying. I don't know why YouTube does that to me sometimes, but this is something that looks exactly like PT. There's even a video out somewhere where they just put PT and this side by side and go, this is like fucking identical. But that's the thing, PT, also a game preservation thing, can't play it anymore, can't get it anymore, can't download it. There are like auctions going on for people who have PS4s with PT still installed, you know, just making sure that they can actually play it. Like if I wanted to play it now, I'd have to go to the PlayStation Store and try to download it, and it would say no, you can't. It's gone off the store. The only way they're getting around it or getting away with that is because it was free. Like, you know, you don't have a right to download a purchase because you didn't purchase it. It was free. But that's another thing. Game Preservation PT is incredible from an atmospheric, tense horror thing, and like hardly anybody's going to get to play it now. That's sad. This is Monster Hunter Rise, so the latest Monster Hunter from Capcom. Monster Hunter Rise is going to have a bit more of an action focus as opposed to the older Monster Hunters that are a bit more... I mean, they're still heavily action focused, but there's a lot more like sim to the older games. Anyway, Monster Hunter Rise looks like it'll be really good. If you like Monster Hunter World, chances are you probably like Monster Hunter Rise as well. And that demo did not show as much game, or sorry, that video did not show as much gameplay as I wanted it to, but it did show that there is a demo. So if you wanted to, check it out. Okay, it's time, everybody. It's time for the best part of the weekend. Getting really angry at industry bullshit. Okay. So, Outriders dev promises to permanently brand cheaters with a HUD watermark to expose their cheating ways. So, this is news that People Can Fly developer is basically going to put a watermark somewhere on your HUD. They haven't shown what it looks like. Somewhere on your HUD to basically, if you decide to share a gameplay or anything like that, people will know you're a cheater. Or at least you have triggered whatever cheating system that they have that's monitoring you. It's we can see you all. Yes, even the person who gave themselves 600 legendary weapons. Genius. Yeah, so they're just pointing out that we're going to do this shit to you, and then in additional, cheaters who are identified by the developer will see account-wide repercussions, not just to the character. Cheaters won't be able to matchmake with legit players either, and matchmaking will take significantly longer. Artificially longer by the sounds of it. Cheaters will still be able to play solo, but in the future their HUD, heads-up display, just what you see on the screen, will have a discrete but visible watermark placed on it, so gameplay footage created on their account can be identified as coming from flagged accounts. If you share your footage, people watching it will know that Outrider or People Can Fly consider you a cheater. Whether you are or not, debatable. Depends how their system works. It goes on to kind of say that if you cheated during the demo, you can fix this by just deleting all of your data off the demo, just wipe it, and you'll be good, which suggests that probably that would work for the main game as well. Just start over. Don't know. There's a kind of enumeration here of, or itemizations, because there's no numbers, so itemized. What they consider cheating: intentionally running the game on PC without EAC. It's a anti-cheat thing. Modifying game files to enhance character levels, so that's going into your the actual game files to just bump your levels up. Externally modifying game time to reduce time-dependent features such as vendors and challenges, so that is like changing your internal game clock to basically speed up vendor changes and things like that. Using a trainer programmer similar to gain advantage within games, they're kind of the same thing. 2 and 4 are sort of the same thing. Using gameplay altering programs such as aimbots or wall hacks, which is fine. That's like a bot that when you mouse over a character or an enemy or whatever and your reticle changes, the aimbot can see it immediately and just bam, fire off a shot. That kind of thing. Yeah, that's it. That's just kind of cheaters, shitheads. Outriders have a thing for it. Whether or not it'll work, debatable. Activision tells creators of popular Call of Duty stat tracking website, whatever it was, to shut it down by Monday. Yada yada. Okay, so this is Activision swinging its big money lawyer dick around and saying, we don't like the thing you're doing because we should probably have done it ourselves, but you're doing it instead and not paying us. So shut the website down by Monday. They can't make that. Or that's not legally binding, at least. There's absolutely not enough time for something like that to be legally binding. So you could probably ignore that, even though later in the story it looks like they're not going to ignore it. They are going to shut down. But anyway, lawyers representing Activision sent a cease and desist demanding the website be shut down, citing privacy concerns. Horse shit. Okay. So you're infringing on Activision's copyright, which is probably true. Violates Activision's API terms of use. Activision don't have an API term of use, which is a problem because you can't find it anywhere on their fucking website. Violates the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. No, it doesn't. like not even remotely close. Plus, that's not up for you to decide. That's a judge. The judge decides that, not you. And exposes SBE and Warzone's creators to fines under GDPR. Again, not your concern. You are not an affiliate of fuck's sake. SBMM Warzone. You know, they're not, again, later in the article, they're not associated with Activision. Activision should not care if they're going to fines under GDPR. And even if they were, not even if they were, it wouldn't be the website who'd be under fines for GDPR. It would be Activision, because they are making the API public. The data is coming from that API. Warzone are not creating or skimming, or whatever word I actually wanted to use, data from players or whatever. They're getting it through Activision's API, which means you boys are at fault, not them. In lieu of an official Warzone ranking system, players have flocked to Warzone thing in a bid to better understand Call of Duty's mysterious skill-based matchmaking system. Hey, Activision, maybe if you had made it more obvious to players, they wouldn't have to use this website. This is Ben, the website owner, saying when we get their data through their API, they don't control it anymore. Which, yeah, maybe that's why Activision don't like it, because they're no longer in control. Maybe don't have a public API then, assholes. Another option could be that they're running adverts and selling premium membership, which is, shitty. Don't do that. Anyway. Ben has tried to get in contact with Activision, but they've been giving him the cold shoulder because they've gotten their lawyers involved, so that is kind of par for the course. But he has tried to get them to sort of, hey, maybe we can become affiliates and we can get an idea around this. Well, we can still keep the thing open. But I thought this was a funny one because it's somewhat similar to what's happening with like the Destiny stuff, but that players are using Warzone. Players are deliberately dying in order to negatively impact their KD and in turn end up in lower skill lobbies so they can, actually have fun and not just get ganked immediately. Hey, Activision, Raven Software, Treyarch, whoever the fuck is making Call of Duty these days, fix your game matchmaking design and this would not be a problem. So despite there not being too much industry bullshit this week, Activision somehow managed to get in twice. Cause fucking Activision. Crash Bandicoot 4 launches exclusively on Battle.net. Players discover it's always online. What? It is an entirely single player game. You can play co-op, but it is local. As in, you both have to be on the same machine. There is no online component to Crash Bandicoot 4. Why does it need to be always online? The answer is it does not, but for whatever reason they decided it does. Activision makes no guarantee regarding the availability of online features and may modify or discontinue those at its discretion without notice. That is highlighting that if for whatever reason Battle.net goes down, or is for whatever reason that they ran out of power or money or whatever, or Activision just decides, you know what, we're gonna just pull the whole authentication server for Crash Bandicoot 4 and now you can't fucking play an entirely single player game anymore because we took it down. Again, game preservation issues. Not to mention, I purchased this game, let me play it, you dicks. There's some tweets about people going, yeah, why the fuck is this single player game have an always online component? Those willing to pirate the game may have a better experience than legitimate customers. Yep, that's a problem, because the pirated version isn't going to have these always online issues, because a lot of the time this always online thing is a DRM job, right? To keep the game, or to somewhat inure it to being cracked too early so they can get their sales out the first week, and then it gets cracked inevitably. But Crash Bandicoot 4 was hacked like the day it came out, or just a day after it came out, so that was kind of pointless. And the idea that every game on Battle.net has to be always online just because that's how Battle.net works, apparently it's not the case for Diablo 2 Resurrected, because they have confirmed that it is playable offline. Wise Crash. And in a very rare occurrence, there's somebody actually made a good point in the comments. If you want to discourage piracy, the first step is to ensure the pirate version isn't also the superior version. Yes, that is correct. If you watch a legitimate film, DVD, whatever, you'll get all the fucking boilerplate for trailers from this publisher. And you wouldn't download a car bullshit, even though if I fucking could, I fucking would. Curiously, the pirate version doesn't have any of that shit. It just gets straight into the film, like what you wanted. I don't have to have a fucking account for everything either. Okay, in a completely new and arbitrary section for this video, this is a just for me section in news that will only interest probably me. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver pulled from Steam for important updates to a game that is almost as old as I am. Square Enix has temporarily removed the title from sale to work on some important updates. Please check back soon. What are the updates, Square Enix? Are you, please tell me you're fucking remaking the game. Holy shit. Legacy of Kain is like really, really important game to me. I fucking love the whole series, and Soul Reaver in particular. I don't know if this will get me demonetized, but I have a Legacy of Kain tattoo up here. I have the Soul Reaver on across my chest. I really like Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. This is why this is a just for me section. They maybe they're remastering it or hopefully remaking it or something. There's some news here that Forever Entertainment have a deal with Square Enix where they're making a bunch of remakes for them, and the sales percentage or the sales share suggests it's probably not a big IP for Square Enix, which maybe Legacy of Kain, because they've tried so many times to resurrect the franchise. Like they've made Dark Sun is mentioned here somewhere in this article. Dead Sun, they tried to make that, which was going to be another single player type deal of Legacy of Kain. Then there was Nosgoth, which was a competitive multiplayer game, which again was cancelled. Both of those were cancelled, and we just haven't heard anything from the IP since. And I would really what I would really like is a sequel, because the story wasn't finished, and it's, boy is it a story. It's fucking time traveling vampires. It's incredible. Like a remake would be fine too. And now Dumb Stuff, formerly known as Memery, because they're not memes really. It's just dumb shit. But anyway, Japanese CEO gives staff day off to play Monster Hunter Rise. Nice. So there's a letter going around basically say March 26th will be the release date of Monster Hunter Rise, and since it is expected that we will not be able to concentrate on our work, I will be making that day a MonHun vacation, Monster Hunter vacation. There were several employees who said they wanted to take the day off on the 26th because they wanted to play MonHun immediately, so we took the plunge and did this. We received words of thanks and appreciation from employees for giving them the day off. I imagine you did. Tried that and work myself. Didn't work. I had to go to work. I wasn't allowed to play Monster Hunter all day. That is unfortunate. And then the rest of the article is just talking about how Capcom thinks Monster Hunter Rise will do really well, and judging by its sales, probably. There's also a kind of, I don't know if it's actually true, but I had heard that Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy releases had to be on Fridays in Japan and not Tuesdays, which typically they're Tuesday release. This is going back to when release dates were staggered. It used to be Tuesdays in like the States and in Japan, and it would be Fridays in Europe just because of the way shipping worked. But they would mandate that that Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy releases had to be on Fridays, because otherwise everyone would call out sick on the Tuesday. Nobody would work in Japan because of it. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds too funny, and I love it. This is a pretty funny piss take of, you may be familiar that Amazon had been sending out tweets about how they're a great company and you don't actually believe the peeing in bottles story, that kind of thing. And then somebody went and just applied it to the Shinra Electric Power Company from Final Fantasy VII, who are super evil corporation, not, the parallels to Amazon aren't exactly invisible. And there's just some great, if Shinra had done the Amazon tweets, they're really funny. I won't read them all out because they're there. I'll just link the article, but they're hilarious. Anyway, that that's the news for 28 March. Not too much going on, and to be fair, I was fairly out of it a lot this week. I just was not paying attention to the news, but this is what I gleaned for the week from me. Some interesting game releases, a bit of a rant about game preservation. I don't see that changing. I just wish it really would, because there's just so many games that will disappear that are very good, and people won't get to experience them or enjoy them. It's really sad. Sorry for the bummer. Not too much industry bullshit this week though, so we got that going for us, I guess. And then I don't know what's happening with Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I am grasping at straws that something will happen with that series, but I don't think it's ever going to. Again, sad. And actually, Blood Omen is pretty much impossible to get your hands on also, I think. I'm not sure if it's even on Steam anymore. Don't know. It's because they're not owned by the same person. They're not owned by Square. The Blood Omen in particular, the very first Blood Omen, is not owned by Square Enix for whatever reason. There's some weird licensing issue around the very first game. Every other game in the series is, but for whatever reason the first one isn't. Anyway, fucking publishers and their licensing shit. Anyway, that was the news. 22nd to 28th March. Hope you liked it, maybe. Hope you liked the video anyway. Links to all of these articles and videos are in the description if I remember to put them in, which I hope I did. Derek in the future, remember to put links in the description. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.